The definition of animal cruelty is that when a person is, more specifically for animals, is being deliberately violent towards an animal or neglecting their basic needs, like starving them or just not letting them play with other animals like themselves. And my opponent says that that there was a zoo that had an animal that wasn't supposed to be hibernating that did, and pretty much it was the zookeeper's fault that they weren't paying attention enough to actually, that they weren't paying attention enough to cause that from happening and eventually causing the animal to actually pass away. But animals would feel a lot more free inside of a zoo because, or animals would feel like, animals would feel much safer in a zoo because accreditation standards and board-approved policies have been established to ensure that this objective and often evolve to meet increasingly rigorous criteria. The Center for Animal Care Sciences provides science-based husbandry, medical care, animal population, and management for the health and well-being of the animals that are everywhere inside of the zoo. Therefore, even though you think that animals might feel more free or happier in the wild, there are many factors showing that they would have just as good a life inside of a zoo rather than outside. And animals inside zoos get the medical care that they need when they need it, and the zookeepers that's a requirement that they have to feed them every day and give them water. And I know that earlier they had talked about how animals can eventually end up self-harming themselves, especially if they end up getting really bored or just not getting the right things that they need. But there are drugs that the veterinarians are allowed to give them that can make them calm down and be more safe with themselves and others.
Have said that the animals are taken care of if they're used in entertainment, and they are ensured their welfare. And they get 100% attention offset. And zoos will help save the animal population, and they have to give them food. But our team has shown the topics on how when animals are being used in media, they become depressed. And if there's ever a chance they get to leave out into their natural habitat, the animals will be oblivious, because they have been stuck in cages and haven't learned any real skills to help them succeed and live. Also, their living conditions are unnatural. They are being flaunted in an exhibit that is measured by square feet, where they have little to no freedom. Where in their real homes, they get to go anywhere and they're able to live their lives freely. Animals are beaten by their trainers to perform for things such as games, TV shows, and movies. So using animals in things like that should constitute as animal cruelty. In the article, The Cruelest Show on Earth, Deborah Nelson, a journalist from the University of Maryland, explains that an Asian elephant, Kenny, from the Ringling Brothers Circus, was beaten to death and left in a hallway to rot because he could not do what the humans wanted him to do. The poor innocent animal was sick and did not get the proper care that was needed for him to perform his shows. During the performance, Kenny showed signs of still being sick, from having bloody diarrhea to not being able to stand on his feet. When the vet examined the lethargic elephant, they exclaimed that he was not to perform any more shows. So they shackled him to a stall. Less than 2 hours later, the elephant's bloody body was found in the hallway by a janitor. The cause of death is still undefined, but the tools they used to discipline the animals vary from hook to whip. The death of Kenny was announced a week or two later. This is significant because this has not been the only case of animals dying in the media. With all of these things they do to entertain the audience, from making elephants stand on chairs to having a dog actor, animal abuse is not just in the circus, but also in other forms of entertainment, such as online posts and TV shows, and much more. Statistics show that just in media/entertainment cases alone, in 2007, there were 1,880 reports of animal abuse charges. According to PETA, which is People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, states, there's nothing remotely sporting about the sports that involve unwilling animal participants. For the animals who are forced to participate in them, these activities are no game. They are about survival. Even the winner emerges physical and emotional scars, but the loser pays with their lives. This applies to any animal fight, such as bullfights and dog fights. This makes the animals think it's okay to behave in an abusive and monstrous way all the time. Sometimes these fights are documented and sometimes even posted for others' entertainment. Also, all different animals are used in media. Chimpanzees and orangutans are used in entertainment, are typically torn away from their mothers shortly after birth. This causes serious harm to the babies and the mothers. In order to force the young apes to perform on cue, trainers often beat the animals with fists, clubs, or even broom handles. This causes the animals to be constantly anxious and fearful, always anticipating the next blow. In fact, chimpanzees' grin, so often used in movies and on television, is actually a look of fear. With all of these acts of abuse to get animals to perform for media or entertainment, or just to entertain people, us as a society has become used to it. Therefore, animals in entertainment should constitute as animal cruelty for these various reasons and examples. Thank you.
My opponents said that the animals live in bad conditions, are depressed, and are taken away from their family. They are also just used for babies and are slaughtered after giving birth. And last, hunting also makes the population go up, not down. My teammates and I have said that animals in zoos are much safer than animals in the wild because they're guaranteed health. Animals in zoos are easier studied and researched for immediate care. Zoos can also be used for education and learning purposes. Our final argument is that it is okay for animals to be hunted, or hunting should be legal. Based on my experience, every animal that my family harvests is used for meat. In the video, Debate Against Hunting with a Hunter and a Vegan, the hunter states, I couldn't afford a grocery bill if I had to buy everything. Deer should be hunted because it decreases the number of car crashes and because they're eating the plants and crops that we eat. It also stops overpopulation. When there are too many deer in one place, disease starts to spread and will eventually kill all of them. Lots of people around the world need hunting to survive. People have been hunting since the early ages, and it's just the natural way of life. There were no grocery stores or food markets in 500 BC to survive, so people had to hunt. Take, for instance, the Hadza people in Africa. It's an ultimate must-do for survival for them. Another reason why you should hunt is because it is helping the planet. Hunting license fees and excise taxes on firearms and ammunition on millions of acres of habitat preservation and improvement. Each year, sportsmen contribute $7.5 million per day towards conservation. Hunting is also good for your family. Spend quality time showing kids where their food comes from. Revealing how important it is to be resourceful and self-sufficient is also one of the greatest life lessons you can teach them. Lots of people think hunting is unsafe and should be illegal for that purpose. Well, according to data recently collected by the NSSF, or the National Shooting Sports Foundation, hunting with a gun is the third safest sport when compared to 28 other popular sports. It has a lower injury rate than golf, volleyball, and tackle football separately. Overall, hunting is definitely okay and is beneficial to the environment and to us.
Can decrease car crashes and help with population. But we disagree, because when roads are built, the animals will learn on their own not to go near it after like a couple weeks. And also, they also said that hunting for animals, they can help kids learn to be resourceful or know where their food comes from. So if they want to be resourceful, they could just grow a garden. They also said that you could use animals for education. Yes, they can use animals for education, but they care more about the people, not the animals. The animals show abnormal behaviors because they are being deprived of their natural habitat, which is called stereotypical neurotic behavior. This is significant because it proves that animals aren't being well taken care of, plus the animals don't feel like they are home in the wild. Lastly, they talked about that it is safe in zoos, but we disagree. The cages they live in can have food or trash thrown in them. They can choke on it from people throwing it in there. They can also die from it. This is significant because it tells us that the animals aren't being watched properly and people don't care about the animals well enough to clean their cages. Therefore, that the animals should not be used for entertainment or used for hunting.